So today I tried every single Green Mountain K-Cup that I could get my hands on. I wanted to do this for a little while because I absolutely love the Green Mountain K-Cups. They're my favorite brand of coffee for, you know, the Keurig. So yeah, I've kind of wanted to do this video to kind of try some of the new ones. Of course, I wasn't able to get my hands on all of them because I went to my local farmer's market to get some, and of course they wouldn't have all of them. So on screen right now I'm gonna have like which ones I couldn't get. So I mean, it's a handful, but I think I covered the majority of my bases. So with that being said, yeah, I hope you all understand. I do have like 20 something lined up, or about that many. I think it's probably 20 on the dot maybe. So I'll be doing this over the next couple of weeks because I don't want to over caffeinate myself or any of that stuff, because that wouldn't be very nice, you know. So how this will go is I'll start off by trying the coffee just black, and then afterwards I will add cream and sugar to it and then try it then, because I feel like that's a fair assessment of how the coffee tastes and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go, so I'm very excited to try this because, as I said, there's gonna be some coffees that I haven't had before from Green Mountain. It's a shame that I wasn't able to get all of them, but I tried my best and I'm very excited to try the ones that I haven't had yet, nonetheless. So before we get into it, there's 3 categories of coffee that I have divided them into. So the first category I'll be diving into is the different types of roast category, or the normal category with all their non-flavored coffees. So each of them are going to be like different forms of roast. There's light roast, medium roast, and dark roast. So I'll be going through those, and none of them have any of that like special flavoring, so that'll be nice to taste the base coffee in different ways. And then speaking of, the second category will be all of that flavored jazz and all that tasty stuff, so I won't spoil anything, but we got some pretty interesting flavors. And then the third category will be all of those specialties. Some may be seasonal, others may just be special for some reason. So yeah, I have a few of those and I'll be excited to try those the most because, I mean, they seem like they'll be interesting because they're so out there in a way, so that'll be fun. So with that being said, enough chatting and let's get to the first coffee. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to be trying the only light brew of coffee I was able to get my hands on by Green Mountain, which is the breakfast blend. So I think I might have had this like years ago, but I don't remember what it tastes like. So yeah, I forget if I said this in the intro thingy because I haven't recorded that yet. So I'll just say it here. I'll be doing them all on the same setting, which will be, as I probably am showing on screen right now, rich and in 12 ounces, because that's how I usually brew my coffee, especially Green Mountain, because that's the one I drink the most. You'll see which one I drink the most later down the line, so I'll be excited to talk to you all about that. Alright, so with that being said, I'll be trying the breakfast blend black first, which is a tongue twister. I have it right here. I mean, I would show you, but that wouldn't really prove anything. So yeah, it smells like your average Green Mountain coffee, except not as strong, which I guess makes sense since it's a light roast. Yeah, I mean, it definitely smells like their coffee. It smells almost as if I already put creamer in it, which is interesting, so I'll be excited to try it black. It does taste like Green Mountain coffee. I can taste that it is a lighter roast. It's not super different from a medium roast, which I usually drink from, but I do like it. I'd be a bit scared to try the dark roasts, but we'll get there soon, so we'll see. But yeah, it's not bad, it's not offensive. I could see myself drinking this black if I ever wished to, for whatever reason. So yeah, I mean, that's a good sign because I'm not much of a black coffee drinker. I usually like to drink my coffee with at least creamer, because it just makes it taste a lot better in my opinion. That's kind of just how my palate's been raised, you could say. But yeah, it's really good black actually. Like once you like drink it and let it like kind of like air out in your mouth per se a little bit, like it does taste really good, and it kind of just, it almost gives you the idea, maybe it's because I ate something a little bit ago that kind of makes it taste different, but like it kind of does make it taste like you did add some stuff to it without adding anything. But I mean, right when you're drinking it, not so much, but it still tastes really good, so I'll give it that. But yeah, I'm going to be giving all these coffees a score on a scale of 1 to 10. So I hope to remember to do that for each one. We'll see. But yeah, for this one, I'd probably give it, for like Green Mountain coffees, it's actually pretty good, so I'll give it like, I'm gonna start off strong with an 8 because I do really like this. I can see myself drinking this. That's always a good sign, so that's exciting. But yeah, now I'm gonna try putting some cream and sugar into it because might as well to make things a little bit more interesting to see what it's like. So I'm gonna try to do about the same amount each time. For reference, I mean, it's probably hard to show here, but this is about how much sugar I put into like 1 cup of coffee of 12 ounces. For some of you are probably like, ew, that's a lot. For me, it's like a little bit much. Sometimes I usually do a little bit less, but that's kind of, it's just an eyeball thing for me. So I like it on the lighter side, but not too light, you know? I mean, I guess that's pretty broad, but hopefully you know what I mean. I would show you, but that'd be hard. I don't want to spill it. I mean, you can kind of see it a little bit without me absolutely spilling it. Kind of like that color. So yeah, let's try it again with the creamer and sugar. So I think actually I put probably, since it's light blend, I probably put in too much creamer because now it's a bit weak for my taste. So I mean, I'll still drink it of course because it does taste good at the end of the day, but like, I guess, I mean, I kind of forgot that lighter roasts kind of need a lot of creamer, but I wanted to give it the same treatment I'd give any other coffee, you know? So, yeah, I mean, the sugar is good. I didn't do too much of that, surprisingly. It doesn't taste too sweet. But yeah, the creamer kind of, since it's a light roast, the amount of creamer I usually put in kind of gave a sucker punch to the light roast of coffee. So that's a bit of a shame. Like I said earlier, I'm more used to the medium roasts because that's where my heart's at. But yeah, I mean, it's still not bad. Obviously, it's still coffee. We all love coffee here, probably. So, yeah, this was pretty good. And, yeah, on to the next coffee. All right, and now we're on to our next coffee, which is Like and Lodge. This is one I think I might have had before, but I've rarely had it, so I'll be curious to see if it reminds me of anything. So like I might have alluded to with the breakfast blend, this is our first medium roast, and we're gonna have quite a bit of those, so I'll be excited to kick it off with Lake and Lodge. I'm very interested, like I said, and I'll be excited to see what it tastes like since we are going from a light roast to a medium roast, so this will be fun. Let's try it. I'd say it's significantly darker from what I feel like I know about coffee, which isn't a lot because, again, I use cream and sugar, so I'm not like a coffee expert or anything, but it isn't super rich or darker, I don't think. It does taste like a medium roast though, so I'll give it that. It's nice. Like, if I liked black coffee, I would definitely like drinking this. I mean, I do, so that's very telling, I would say. It's an enjoyable experience for a black coffee. It's barely bitter, but like, it's, you know, in a good way, of course. Like, it's very nice. It's got a strong flavor without being too overwhelming. So that makes me excited for the dark roast because I feel like they would instinctively be even stronger. So that'll be exciting when you get to those, but yeah, I really do like this. Nothing really to complain about. I don't know what makes this Lake and Lodge. Maybe it's like a lakeside coffee. Maybe it's harvested nearby like bodies of water or something like that. That's a guess. I don't really know my Green Mountain lore. I mean, I think they'd probably all be coming out of Vermont, I'd hope, because if you didn't know, Green Mountain is another name for Vermont because it's the Green Mountain state. So I think all the coffee comes out of Vermont, hopefully. That would be cool if it did, so maybe it's like near like bodies of water in Vermont, but that's just a very out there guess, so I'm not sure, but I do really like this black, so with that being said, might as well try it with cream and sugar next, so let's do just that. So I'll be honest, I just put the stuff in here and I accidentally put a little bit more cream or half and half in there than I usually do, but it does still look pretty average for what I think I do, so I'm hoping I didn't mess it up too much, but we'll see. I mean, off the bat, it smells like coffee that I drink because it smells like your average Green Mountain coffee, so let's see. Ooh, that's really good. That's really good. We're into my territory now with the cream and sugar. I really like this. I think, like, I'll have to try it again, but it does taste like there's still some of that boldness coming through, which is very nice. Yeah, I do think it's still kind of coming through. You really have to look for it though, but like I do, like at the back of the palate, I do still get a little bit of that like boldness that you get from this coffee, at least in particular, which is really nice. So yeah, even if I did put a little bit more creamer in than I usually do, it still has that hint of richness, which I really admire about it, and it still tastes really good. I don't want to go too high of a score because I do believe that we might be able to find an even better one, but for how it stands, I'd probably give this like an 8.7. It's pretty good. And 8.6, how about that? 8.6. I really do like this. It really is a good coffee. It's probably up there for one I'd pick because, as I stated previously, I do really like Green Mountain's medium roast, so I feel like this is going to be a pretty good category for me. So yeah, I do think things will get more interesting when you get to the later categories with like flavors and stuff, so bear with me as I go through these different roasts, but I do think it'll be really interesting to compare all these different roasts, you know, because, you know, there is obviously a pretty big difference between the light roast and the medium roast as portrayed in these last two, so this is going to be pretty fun, and I'll see you all in the next coffee tasting. Alright, welcome back. So now we're trying our third coffee of this video, which is gonna be Vermont Country Blend. So this is one I definitely haven't had before, so I'm very excited to see what it's got. It smells really nice, actually. Like, it smells, I guess, rounded. It doesn't smell like super strong or anything. It almost smells creamy already. So I'm very excited to try this because it smells really good. So hopefully I can taste it because it burned my tongue last night on soup, but alas, might as well try it. So I don't think this is as strong as the previous coffee I tasted, but that's probably in a good way. It still has a kick that you'd expect from black coffee, and is maybe the tiniest bit weak for a medium roast. It's still notably strong, so I do really like it. This is probably something I'd try more often. There might be like the slightest like fruity aroma near the back of the palate maybe. Maybe I'm just tasting things, I'm not sure, but I really like it, so I might have to try this coffee more often if I feel like doing so. I don't know if it has a fruity aftertone now that I tried it some more, but it just tastes like generally really good coffee. So as per usual, I'm gonna add some cream and sugar to it. Got it in here now, so let's try. Now, again, I never know if it's like my own error or not. When I added the cream, it tastes like it's pretty weak. It tastes like a light roast when I put the cream in. So I don't know if that's my error. I personally felt like I put in the usual amount, but maybe it's because I drank some of the coffee already, so it might have kind of affected that ratio. So it could be my fault, I will say that. So yeah, it tastes surprisingly light for the medium roast, that is. Maybe this could be a coffee that you drink black, maybe. I don't know, that's my opinion, but it still tastes really good. I do really like it. Alright, before I move on, I do want to mention that I did move the rankings down for the coffees that I previously ranked. I wanted to move the points down so that I had leeway and freedom to have, or just more of a range to be able to more highly vote some coffee if I find like the best coffee ever or something, if that happens. But yeah, just to inform you all, the breakfast blend is now at a 7.5 and Lake and Lodge is now at an 8.2. So yeah, with that being said, now we can, I suppose, rate Vermont Country Blend. I want to give it a good score because I really do like it. I feel like I like it more than Lake and Lodge, but my predicament is that when I added the cream and sugar, it didn't feel as much as a medium roast as it did a light roast, so that's kind of my dilemma. I would personally say the coffee's good, but if you're looking for a medium roast that you can add cream and sugar to, I don't know if it's exactly that type of coffee that you might be looking for. So on a scale of like, if it's like a true medium roast coffee, it probably would be in the 7 range, but like my personal enjoyment of it is pretty darn good. The fact that I can have it black and there's a medium roast, and then I can add some cream and sugar to have a slightly lighter roast. I just like that idea. I mean, sure, usually I'd be adding cream and sugar to it nonetheless, but like the whole concept of that is like interesting. But that being said, oh my gosh, like I think I'm gonna give it an 8.6. I wanted to give it almost a 9, but I do feel like I needed to ding it a few points. So yeah, I thought that was a good compromise because on one hand I thought it was a really good coffee, and on the other hand I was questioning if it was like an iconic medium roast because of how light it became when they added creamer. But yeah, it's not bad, so I thought it deserved an 8.6. So it's taking the lead now. Alright, so now we're on to the next coffee, and this one is special because this is one that I consider to be my favorite Green Mountain coffee, which is Nantucket. Alright, so I'm really excited to try this because I'm curious on if it's going to come out as my #1 favorite coffee still, or if something might dethrone it. So with that being said, I've never really tried it black, so might as well do it now. So let's see what it tastes like. I will say it's very similar to the previous one I tried, the Vermont Country, I think it was called. Very similar taste, maybe a little bit richer than the Vermont one. It does taste like the coffee I drink because it is. I mean, I know that's a stupid thing to say, but it does have a rich flavor without being too rich, I think. I'm trying my best not to be biased because, I mean, well, I guess I wouldn't be biased since I don't drink black coffee, but I think I like it. I'm pretty sure. So, it might be a shocker to say this, but I might actually prefer drinking the Vermont one black more than this one, because like I said, that one had less of an edge to it. This one still has like an edge, but not much of one. There's definitely stronger edges to coffee when it comes to black coffee, so this is still a good contender. So yeah, with that being said, might as well try it with cream and sugar the way I like it. Alright, I added my cream and sugar, and time to taste the original, I guess you could say. When I add the cream and sugar, it tastes a lot like the Vermont blend. They taste oddly similar. Yeah, it's hard to decipher between them. This one still has its edge, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to try it again though. Yeah, I almost feel like I'm having an experience where like I drink it and then the first thing that goes down is like the cream and sugar with some of the coffee. Then a little bit of the coffee stays behind and is like, hey, just a reminder, you're drinking Nantucket. I don't know, I feel like that's what I'm tasting. Like, you get the satisfaction of the cream and sugar, and then when it's all gone, the coffee's like, hey, here's my black form if you like it. That sounds bad out of context, so please don't take it out of context. But anyways, yeah, I think that's really unique. I don't know, I don't think I remember tasting that about any of the other ones. Now, this is the hard part. I don't know if it's my favorite or not. Like, it's so unique, that's the thing, but at the same time, it's very familiar to the Vermont Country. So it puts me in a pickle. Yeah, they're gonna definitely get a very close score, probably by a 0.1 margin, because they're so similar. I'm trying not to be biased, but I honestly have to give this an 8.7 for that like black coffee aftertaste. It's just unique. I've never picked up on that for all the times I've drank this. So yeah, this came out as the victor with 1/10 of a point, but still both are like neck and neck, literally so close. They're like very close in flavor, and I love both of them, so they're about tied in my opinion, but just this has a slight edge over the Vermont Country. So yeah, with that being said, on to the next coffee. Alright, and we're back. So it's been a little bit since I recorded the previous coffee taste test because I've been busy all week with college. So I'm gonna get really excited to try this one because it's a very unique seeming one. It's still a medium roast, but it is called Columbia Select. So it seems really cool and interesting. Off the nose, from what I smelled when I was brewing it, it smelled really flavorful and like so unique. I haven't smelled a coffee from Green Mountain anything like this. It smells so different from all the rest. I mean, it still has that Green Mountain scent afterwards, but like right off the bat, when you first smell it, it smells so different. It smells so good. So as always, I'm gonna be trying this black first, and then I'll be adding cream and sugar afterwards. So I'm really excited to see what it tastes like. Off the bat, I can say with certainty that this is the coffee I am most likely to drink black. It tastes so good black, like it almost tastes like I already added creamer to it, and I'm just drinking coffee with a bit of creamer in it, which I like to do sometimes. Sometimes I don't like having sugar in my coffee, depending on how I feel. And this is good. I don't know if it's because I haven't had Green Mountain in a little bit, but I swear this tastes a lot different from your typical Green Mountain coffee. It's really good. I think it might be a little bit weaker than what you might expect for your typical Green Mountain medium blend. but it's still up there for a medium blend. It's still pretty medium roast, I'd say, so it's really nice. I do really like it. And with that being said, as per usual, I'm gonna add some cream and sugar to it, just so that we can fully try it and test it. Alright, so I've added the cream and sugar, and it is time to try it. I honestly think this is my favorite coffee. This literally is it's actually really good. It's not like any of the other coffees I've had, and I'm really glad that it's so different. I actually really like this. Like, it really complements the creamer in a way that I didn't expect to have a coffee react in terms of cream and sugar. It's so unique, it really is. Oh wow, I just don't know how to describe it. It's really good. It's smooth. It doesn't exactly have an edge that I do like about other medium roasts, but it almost feels like a completely different vibe of coffee to me. I feel like this would pair really good with chocolate. I don't know why, but it just feels like it would be a great coffee to pair with chocolate, since the two really go well together. I don't know if this would be my favorite coffee in the world. I do know that, like, I guess I do have to remind myself that I should be ranking these on a scale of K-cups rather than actual, like, brewing coffee, like, in special ways and whatnot, because K-cups are like an easy way to make coffee rather than actually putting effort into making coffee, if that makes sense. I do feel like there could be better K-cups, because I'm always open-minded that I'm always going to be able to find something better, unless I'm like, oh, this is the best. But I love this coffee so much. I'm gonna give this a 9.2. That is right. I feel like that's a really good score. It's honestly that good. This is my favorite by far at this point in this video. It's so good. I would have not expected that. It became a whole different coffee when I added the cream and sugar, and so some of you remember, like, it might be like, duh, because you added stuff to it, but like, the coffee kind of like, it already had its own character to it, and then when I added the cream and sugar, it just became a whole new thing. I don't know if I'm just overthinking it, but it really does taste so good. With that being said, I'm very excited to try the next coffee, because it seems to be kind of, not familiar, but kind of similar. So, you'll see once we transition over to the next coffee, so let's do that. Alright, so we are on our final medium roast blend, so this is going to be exciting because this is, I think, similar to the previous one I tried. This is the Costa Rica Paraíso. I probably said that so wrong, so I apologize. So the reason I think these two are similar is because they both have like the fancy stuff. Fair trade, I think it was, which I learned meant that basically it's coming from like farms that are like naturally grown, and all the coffee grounds are coming from the same place. So that explains why I liked the previous one so much. So I have kind of high hopes for this one. I don't know how it's gonna vary, but I do hope it's good, just like the last one, because they're both a fair trade thing or whatever it was called. So kind of like the last one, it does smell different from the rest, well, it still has that signature Green Mountain scent. So with that being said, let's try it. I don't know if this is the case, but this one definitely tastes a little bit stronger. I could be mistaken though. So in terms of black coffee, I don't know if I like this one as much as the Colombian Select, because that one just tasted unlike any other ones. This one does taste a little bit more like the rest of the coffees, but it does have something a little bit different on the sides of my palate, if you know what I mean. Like, the whole palate tastes pretty medium roasty, if that makes any sense, but on like the sides it does taste a little weaker, I guess, in a good way, more tame per se. But yeah, nothing too noteworthy, I guess, but again, not bad. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to try it with cream and sugar now, as per usual. I'm gonna make a prediction now and say that this one might be better with cream and sugar, because the previous one did taste a bit weak when I added the cream and sugar, but it tasted really good. Alright, but with that being said, I've added the cream and sugar, and it's time to try it again. Alright, so this is interesting because on one hand, it's a lot like the Colombian Select, where it tastes a lot weaker with cream and sugar, but the thing about this one is that right in the center of my palate, it feels like it still has that black flavor that I had when I drank it pure. So It's really interesting. I don't know how to describe it other than it feels like if you were to drink black coffee and like coffee with cream and sugar at the same time. I will say I don't think I like it as much as the Colombian Select, but I do like this. It's interesting, like in a really good way. This will probably take the second place spot because it does have some of the qualities that made me love the Colombian Select so much. So that kind of makes it pretty, desirable in my taste at least. So yeah, again, I don't like this as much as Colombian Select, but it's definitely giving it a run for its money. I think I'm gonna give it an 8.9 because I'm not super crazy for it. It's definitely not in 9 territory, but it's really close. With that being said, I think 8.9 is a pretty good score for it. Alright, and now we are on to the dark roast. So this is gonna be an interesting one because I'm not personally a super dark coffee lover, as you could probably infer from the fact that I don't really drink black coffee. I'm gonna be open-minded about this. I'm pretty interested. So we'll be starting off with our first dark roast out of 4. This one being Double Diamond, so I like the name. I don't know what it could mean in terms of how the coffee is, but I guess we'll find out, so let's see how it is. Off the nose, I kind of like it. It's not like the best smelling coffee ever, I'll say, because it does have that like signature Keurig type of smell. I mean, they all have the same smell, of course, like that same Keurig-esque smell, so it's to be expected, but it also has a little something in there that I do kind of like. Let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, definitely has a kick to it. There's something about it that kind of has a confusing taste. So this sounds absurd, I know, but it almost tastes like I put on like a fruity like lip gloss or something when I drank this and it got into the coffee. I have no clue why. I swear I'm not wearing any, if that was a question. Yeah, there's something in there. It's like fruity and almost minty. That could just be my taste buds being weird though, but I don't think they would do that to me at this time of day, hopefully. It's not a bad coffee though, despite everything I've been saying about that fruity, minty flavor. I can easily look past that. It's just a bit confusing, that's all. For a black roast, I do like it black. It's not too like offensive or like overpowering or too strong actually. So, I mean, it's not bad. It has a nice strong coffee flavor, so I do like it. But with that being said, as per usual, let's add some cream and sugar. Alright, I have the cream and sugar added, and it's time to try it. Yeah, that's nice. So now that I have the cream and sugar in it, it doesn't taste exactly like I was saying. Now it tastes like a more natural coffee flavor instead of mint and fruit. I literally don't know how to describe it. It's really specific, and I don't know what is making it taste like that, but it clearly is meant to be there, and it doesn't taste super bad actually. Yeah, I feel like that flavor that I was kind of picking at earlier, like the cream and sugar kind of tamed it and like mellowed it out and made it more like part of the coffee, if that makes sense. I feel like for these dark roasts, I'm probably gonna like it more when I add the cream and sugar. For this, I can taste the sweeter coffee, but I can also still taste the darkness of the coffee as well. So I would say it's probably kind of harder to judge this since we're transitioning between dark roast and medium roast. But honestly, like just going with my gut instinct, I'm gonna give this an 8.4 because I'm not super crazy about it, but I can taste the appeal in this, and I do taste how this can be liked. And I mean, yeah, if someone were to give me this coffee, I would definitely drink it. So, that's a plus. So with that being said, I do feel like it does deserve an 8.4. Alright, so now we're on to our next dark roast, which is Black Granite, which sounds a bit scary, I'd say. Doesn't sound like something I should be consuming, but here we are. So according to them, it's espresso style. So I don't know how that'll work in terms of K-cups, but I'm interested. So it smells dark. It really does smell dark. So I don't know if there's like different levels to the dark roasts, but like this definitely smells darker than the previous one. So it's a little bit scary, but might as well try. Definitely dark. For sure dark. Oh man, it feels like if I just drank squid ink almost, like it just like kind of explodes in my mouth with just like darkness. Really, if that makes sense, just it's so strong, it really is. It definitely is a dark roast, I can tell you that right now. It's not bad, but not my cup of tea or coffee. That being said, I'm gonna add some cream and sugar to it in hopes that it'll make it taste better, so we'll see. Alright, so I have the cream and sugar added. I have a feeling this is gonna be a good bit like the last one where you can still taste the black coffee pretty well even though you added cream and sugar. I'm hoping it's good, or at least better. We'll see, let's try. Alright, so I was kind of wrong. I feel like maybe it's because I added a little bit more than usual. I don't know. I don't know if I did or not, but it does taste like this coffee does get masked by the creamer. There might be a slight edge that still comes through, but for the most part, this coffee does taste like it does conform to the cream and sugar when you add it. In a way, that is a good thing. I don't know if I like it though. Just like the last one, I'm not super crazy about it, so I'm not too sure. Again, like I said for the last coffee, if someone were to give me this, I definitely wouldn't mind drinking it. I would probably drink it all, but judging by these past two, I definitely wouldn't go for a dark roast. But that's just me. I'm not a dark coffee drinker, so I mean, if you are, then this might hit the spot, so I don't know. So my predicament is that I do think I like this dark roast better, but only when I add cream and sugar. When it's just black, I definitely don't like it more than the previous dark roast. So that being said, I mean, I do feel like the black coffee is more important because you're just tasting straight coffee rather than cream and sugar, because as we all know, cream and sugar are just add-ons to make it more conform to our taste, if you know what I mean. So with that being said, I'd probably give it a lower score. So with that being said, I'd give it a 7.9. I don't know if it's really deserving of an 8 because I've had definitely better K-Cups, so 7.9 it is. So this next dark roast that I'm trying is arguably one of the most popular Green Mountain coffees. This is Dark Magic. I don't think I've ever had this, so I'm gonna be interested to try it. Judging by the popularity that I feel like it has, it's probably at least kind of good, so I don't mind the nose. It tastes like a typical K-Cup coffee, actually. It doesn't taste like super crazy or anything. It smells very dark. I guess that's to be expected. So with that being said, allow me to try it. I think this might be the darkest one. Oh my gosh. It's hard to say, but this is, like, I took a tiny sip, but it was strong. It's so dark it almost feels like you'd be drinking like a wine or something, like a red wine or something. It's so dark it tastes like almost bitter, which is really crazy. I don't think there's really words to describe how dark it is. I mean, it is dark magic, so it's magically dark, I guess you could say. I have a feeling this might not get the highest score, because I feel like cream and sugar won't do much for it, but we're gonna try anyways, because why wouldn't we? Alright, I've added cream and sugar. Now it's time to taste. This is a bit different from all the other dark roasts. This one almost feels like it was masked by the cream and sugar, but if you give it a little bit of time, you're like, oh, yeah, the blackness is still there, so nearly gone. It gives it a little bit of a different flavor, actually. Yeah, it's doing some funky little dance with the creamer. Like, I can't describe what the flavor is, but like, it tastes like a different type of coffee, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know what flavor or what words I can use to describe it, so it's not bad. It's like all the other dark coffees. Like, I'd rather not drink this roast of coffee, but if I had it, then sure, I guess I would. But I need a lot of cream and sugar, that's all. Yeah, I think the main thing that I don't really like about these dark coffees or dark roasts is that, like, the blackness of the coffees just find a way to cut through the cream and sugar when you need it the most, per se. So it is a bit of an annoyance almost. Not exactly, but like, in a way, yeah, because, I mean, if you're adding cream and sugar, you don't want to be tasting such dark coffee, you know? But also, just don't get black coffee in the first place, but for the purposes of this video, it's just not preferable. I would feel like it's a bit better than previous black roasts. Yeah, I'm probably gonna give this like a 7.6, which would give it the last place score. I don't know if it's deserving of that, but like, I might adjust the scores a little bit. I've been doing that over the course of these tastings, but yeah, as it stands now, Dark Magic is gonna get a 7.6. And now we are on to our final dark roast and our final coffee of the first category. So with that being said, we have Sumatra Reserve, which is, as I said, another dark roast. So I do have a bit higher hopes for this one. I'm hoping that this is my favorite dark roast because this is another fair trade coffee. As we've seen, the fair trade coffees are pretty darn good. They're probably some of the best coffees we've had in this video. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited for this, but I also don't want to give myself super high hopes because, again, it's a dark roast and I'm not the biggest fan of it. So yeah, if I do like this, then this might warrant some changing in the like rankings and stuff, because this will throw it for a loop for sure. So first things first, I'm going to try it black, and then we're going to go from there. On the nose, it smells very much just like an average K-cup coffee, I'd say. It does maybe smell dark. At this point, it's hard to tell because I've been smelling so much dark coffee. But it definitely does smell coffee forward, so I guess that's a goodish sign. Anyways, let's try it. It does have a good taste, but again, it is really dark, so not my cup of tea. In terms of flavor, it does have a good flavor, even if it is pretty strong, but again, that is to be expected. It's a really good, strong taste, if you're into that. So if you're gonna try any of the black coffees, or dark coffees, my bad, I do recommend the Sumatra Reserve. It does taste the best in my opinion, but if you're just looking for something extremely dark and maybe not the most ideal flavor, I would say Dark Magic. That's probably the darkest one I had in this video, so if you want, then try that. But in terms of good flavors while also being dark, this is probably the one I'd recommend. So yeah, it's not bad. Again, like, I'm not crazy about dark coffee, so this one's still probably gonna be low 8s, high 7, I don't know, we'll see. But with that being said, I'm now gonna add cream and sugar as per usual, so let's do that. So I forgot to say that I added cream and sugar, so I already took a sip, but I'll try it again because I, like, mid-sip I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to say something, so I'm gonna take a second sip to actually think about the coffee, so let's do it. Okay, this is by far my favorite coffee, and the dark roast, that is. The cream and sugar are doing what I'd hope they did. There's still the tiniest hint of it saying, hi, I'm a dark coffee, by the way, I'm a dark roast. But it's really not protruding, because it's like, oh, they're adding cream and sugar. We probably shouldn't go too strong on them, you know? This is good. This is definitely my favorite dark roast. It still has that dark roast flavor without being intrusive, so I really like that. The cream and sugar really do give a coffee a different flavor, which I appreciate a lot. I will say, the fact that this dark roast had my favorite flavor both black and with cream and sugar definitely tells me that it's the best coffee. So this ranking might change. So yeah, it still is a little bit dark for my taste, but again, for a dark roast, it is really good. It's really good. I can actually see myself drinking this dark roast out of any of the ones that I've tried today. So that's really promising. So it's hard to give this a score because, again, like I just said, it's still a little dark for me, but I do like it. So with that being said, I will probably give it an 8.4. It definitely deserves to be in the lower 8 tier. It's just the fair trade ones that are always the best somehow. So that's pretty darn cool. I mean, obviously I wasn't gonna give it a top tier because it's a dark roast, so I kind of not super crazy about it. So yeah, that was really cool though that I actually do like it. Now we're gonna be moving on to a new category, so let's go over there. Alright, so I'm back. It's been almost 2 weeks since I had the last coffee, but I am excited to be back and to be kicking it off with some flavored coffees. So I decided to go with the weirdest flavor first, that being Wild Mountain Blueberry, which I don't really think of blueberry flavor when I think of coffee, but maybe if you're having like blueberry muffins and you want some blueberry coffee on top of it to top it off, I don't really know. I'm not certain if I'm gonna like this. I don't think I've ever had blueberry flavoring in my coffee. So yeah, I guess we'll see what this is like. Like always, I'll be trying all these black, and then I'll be adding cream and sugar to see if that enhances the flavor. So right off the bat, it does smell very blueberry-esque, so it doesn't smell a lot like coffee. You still get like the undertones of coffee, but not much, so I'm very curious. So with that being said, let's try it. Alright, so I feel like for this coffee at least, it feels like you just taste coffee and then afterwards it's like, oh, there's some blueberry. So it's really an aftertaste, I will say. It's not offensive. I would probably I don't know if I would drink this actually. Getting a blueberry aftertaste is kind of weird. The only exception is if you're at like breakfast, you know, like with family or friends or something, and you're like, ooh, nice coffee. If it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to validate this. It's just, I can't see myself ever drinking this, that's the thing. Because there's a lot of better flavors to pair with coffee rather than this. On top of that, it also just, like I said, it's an aftertaste almost, so it might change the more you drink it, I don't know. But yeah, like after you've drinking it for a little bit, like it kind of is just a culmination of both blueberry and coffee in your mouth, if you know what I mean. It's a weird experience. It kind of is like, it tastes like if I was drinking some black coffee while I was eating a blueberry muffin, like literally, that's kind of what it tastes like. But yeah, I can't really see myself drinking a blueberry flavored coffee. It just seems really out there. Nonetheless, I will try it with some cream and sugar because I want to be fair. Who knows, it might make it taste like the best coffee in the world. You never know before you try it. So let's do that. Alright, so I added some cream and sugar, and I have a theory that I feel like the sugar could complement the blueberry, so we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to think of things that could make this exciting, so let's try it. That's really interesting. The coffee tastes like you can still very much taste the coffee, but it tastes like it's taking a back seat and letting the blueberry actually come forward, so that is nice, I will say that. If you're looking for a blueberry coffee, that is, of course, but like, I guess since you're adding half and half, it kind of weakens the coffee flavor, so I feel like that allows for the blueberry flavor to shine. Again, I honestly can't see myself drinking this. Like, I know I'm really bashing it, but like, at the end of the day, these rankings are like, how much do I enjoy it and see myself actually drinking this coffee? This score might change because we're getting into a whole different category with like flavors and stuff, but as it stands now, I'm probably gonna give this like a 6.1 because for this category at least, 5 feels like it's a mid-tier coffee. Again, I might have to adjust these scores later because this is a whole different type of like ranking and whatnot, so like I said, as it stands now, it's gonna be a 6.1, but to make it work with all the other rankings that we already have, I might be doing some adjustments, like post all the coffee taste testing, so I don't know if I will, but as it stands now, it's at a 6.1. Alright, so for this next coffee, I have something that's a little bit more normal flavored. It's brown sugar crumble, so I can see how this can be good, so yeah, I'm excited to try this. Again, I don't know if I've ever really heard of brown sugar being a flavor of coffee per se, but again, it's brown sugar, so it's meant to be good with things like coffee and like sweet treats, so. My question is it gonna be sweet because it's brown sugar? I'm guessing probably not. It's probably just flavored like brown sugar. Yet again, you never know with these things, so with that being said, let's try it. It's nice, not sweet if you were wondering. It almost tastes cinnamony. Kinda makes sense to me because I feel like in my head, a lot of the time brown sugar and cinnamon can kind of like go together. I feel like you can see that combo a lot. It's not super strong on the brown sugar taste, but again, like the blueberry one, when I added the cream and sugar, it does definitely highlight the flavor more than it does the actual coffee. The richness of the coffee, I didn't really say this about the blueberry one, but like the brew of the coffee is like not bad. It's like middle of the road. It's kind of like I'd say in between a light roast and medium roast. And I did forget to mention, it does smell pretty good, so always a plus. So that's probably gonna be why I like a lot of these flavored coffee K-cups, because they're gonna smell good, but the question is, will they actually taste as good as they smell? So yeah, with that being said, anyways, let's try it with cream and sugar. Alright, I added cream and sugar, and it's time to taste it. I'm actually kind of excited for this one because I feel like this could be pretty good, but I never know, so let's see. It brings that flavor out a lot more. I actually don't know if I would, I know this is contradictory, but I don't know if I'd go for this flavor for a flavored coffee, but it's definitely a pretty big step up from blueberry, I will say that. It almost gives me minty vibes, something that it like is not exactly minty, but it's giving off the vibe of something that's a little bit different from brown sugar. It could just be me, in all honesty. It is kind of weird that I'm getting hints of things that aren't brown sugar. Because first it was cinnamon, now it's mint, so I'm not too sure. But nonetheless, it does actually taste good, so I mean, I'm not complaining. I feel like the more I drink it, the less I feel like it tastes like brown sugar. Could just be my palate. It could be throwing me for a loop. But with that being said, I do think it's overall a good coffee. A little bit light for my taste, but overall it's enjoyable. So with that being said, I'd probably give it a 7.4 because it definitely deserves to be in the 7 tier, but like it's not blowing my mind or anything. I do feel like there can be better flavors. So I'm leaving that door open for when hopefully that better flavor comes and is like, wow, this is really good. This is what I like to taste in a coffee and all that. So with that being said, I'm gonna give brown sugar crumble as of right now a 7.4. all right, so next up we have caramel vanilla cream. If you hear any weird noises, my window is right here and it's really windy out, so yeah, that's what that might be if the wind gusts really hard. But anyways, like I said, I have caramel vanilla cream here. I think I've had this like a few times many years ago, but I don't really remember what it tastes like. I mean, right off the bat, it does smell pretty good. I can't remember if I'm crazy for like caramel flavor in my coffee, but I know it's more of a common thing to have in coffee. Because I know there's like caramel macchiatos or things like that, but usually when I think of caramel in coffee, I usually think of like an iced coffee, so I don't know how it'll translate to a hot coffee, but with that being said, I mean, might as well try it, so let's do just that. It's not very caramelly, it's not very vanilla-y. I don't know what it is. I think this is the first coffee that kind of tastes watery almost, but it does taste weak, and it does make my throat feel a little bit weird. Even after 2 sips, like, it makes my throat feel raspy. I don't know if that's just me overthinking it. I'm not too crazy for this. Yeah, it actually does taste kind of watery, which I don't know if cream and sugar will help this in the way that I hope it does. It mostly just tastes like black coffee that doesn't taste right. Like, you taste it and it's like, something's kind of off about this. I mean, on the nose it smells good, but like black, I don't think it's that good. So I'm hoping cream and sugar can help this in some way. I don't know how, but might as well try, so let's do that. All right, I add the cream and sugar. I do feel like this is instinctively gonna be better because it seems like for all these like flavored things, like they all kind of rely on you adding cream and sugar to it, because I feel like your typical audience for these flavored coffees would probably add cream and sugar to it, so I can see why that's the case, but let's try it now. It does taste different, like vastly different. I think I can taste the vanilla more, but again, I don't know if that's just me tasting the creamer. I don't know what I'm looking for when it comes to the caramel taste, because caramel is just like, you know, cooked sugar or whatever. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to tell, it really is. Yeah, I feel like I'm probably tasting like a vanilla bean flavor, because you all couldn't tell this, but I know that on the boxes of these K-Cups, it's like, it shows like vanilla ice cream with like a caramel drizzle. So I feel like that's kind of what they're going for. I guess that would be vanilla bean. Okay, never mind. But yeah, basically they're trying to go for like an ice cream and caramel vibe, I guess. In my opinion, personally, since they put caramel first, I would expect to taste that more than the vanilla cream. I don't know if that's just me thinking things that are blatantly wrong, but I feel like if you put caramel first before vanilla cream, you kind of would expect to taste more caramel than vanilla cream, which I don't think is the case for this, unless my taste buds are just not picking up on the caramel hint or whatever. So the thing is, for this especially, the cream and sugar are heavily carrying this coffee, which I don't care for, because trying it black, I would like to think that black coffee could taste good, because I do have some sort of taste for black coffee. I'm not like a black coffee lover or anything, but I do know when a black coffee is pretty good. So that really isn't it. So that kind of ruined it for me. And on top of that, like I was just saying, the flavors aren't strong. The smell is strong and it smells good, but I wish there was more of an obvious caramel flavor. And the vanilla flavor is like, I can taste it being there, but I can only taste it when I add the cream and sugars, which is my problem. So as a coffee by itself, with cream and sugar. I can see myself enjoying it, but I will probably never go out of my way to get caramel vanilla cream coffee. But yeah, like I said, it is drinkable. It's not like inedible or anything. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. But black is just, no, I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, if you're gonna have this, I guess if you're really gonna have any of these flavors, I would recommend adding cream and sugar, because those like highlight the flavors that you're looking for in the coffee. But for this one, the caramel vanilla cream, it doesn't really shine through as much as I wish, especially the caramel. So I'd probably give this like a 5.3. I don't know, I feel like it's kind of deserved to give it a 5.3 because it's nothing crazy and I don't really care for it all that much. So yeah, hopefully the next coffee is good. We'll see. Alright, so now we have a very familiar one to the caramel vanilla one, this one being French vanilla. So I can tell you for certain, this smells almost identical to the caramel vanilla one, which that kind of validates what I was tasting yesterday, how I was saying it doesn't really taste like caramel, so that's pretty interesting. But since that's the case, that makes me feel like this one will also not be the best, but I don't want to be biased, so I will try this with an open mind, so let's do that. It's a little bit better than the caramel vanilla one. It definitely hits you with the French vanilla when it first touches your tongue, so that's a nice little like gust of French vanilla right there, so I can't complain about that. The coffee still tastes there's a like tang or a bitterness, something like that, that kind of hits me as an almost aftertaste, but like it still is like part of the initial taste too, so it's not desirable. I feel like it'll probably be better once I add cream and sugar to it, because that's probably the target audience for these flavored coffees. It's definitely an improvement on the caramel vanilla cream, but it's also nowhere near top tier either, so let's add cream and sugar to it. Alright, the cream and sugar has been added, so let's try it. First things first, I can actually taste the vanilla. I mean, for the last one, it was that I can't taste the caramel and only the vanilla, so since this doesn't have caramel, then that's already a pretty big boost in front of it. I feel like also initially, when it was black, it definitely tasted better than the caramel vanilla cream. Man, these coffee names are like a mouthful. But anyways, yeah. So that's also a little bit of a foot up on them. And I will say, this does taste different with cream and sugar in comparison to caramel vanilla cream. I know I shouldn't be comparing them, but they're so similar. Both are vanilla flavored things, and they're very similar, both scent and taste even. I feel like they'd be kind of close together, but this definitely is like an improvement. Again, I think this is going to be the case for all of the black coffees, or the flavored ones, that is. These are definitely not coffees you want to drink black. They give you a bad taste in your mouth, quite literally. So I would recommend not drinking these black. I know I probably have said that multiple times, but like, it's definitely true. It still is holding up after all these flavored coffees I've had already. So thinking about it now, it's probably gonna be the highest ranking flavored coffee that we have as of right now. It's not gonna be too much higher than the currently highest one, which is brown sugar crumble at 6.8, but I do think it deserves a 7, but not by much. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm probably gonna give it an even 7, because it just makes it into 7, because the black coffee doesn't taste good, but with cream and sugar, it does taste like a good coffee. So with that being said, a 7.0 it is for French vanilla. Alright, next up I have Southern Pecan, and I'm kind of excited for this one because I would say we're now getting into more typical coffee flavors. I mean, French vanilla was a typical coffee flavor, but I feel like we're getting more into the nutty area. Yet there's only a few more flavored coffees in this section. On the nose, like, it definitely, when I was brewing it, it smells really good. It smells a little bit off. It smells a little bit suspicious, but we can ignore that. It's K-cup. It's always gonna smell a little bit suspicious. But anyways, let's try it. Honestly, I can't really pick up on any flavors of pecan or any of that. It just tastes like every other flavored coffee that tastes kind of off. Like always, I'm pretty sure the cream and sugar will probably bring out the flavor of pecan, or at least I hope so, because I want to give this a good score. I'm pretty hopeful for these next few because they seem like they could be good. It's hard to really pick up on anything. The coffee doesn't taste terrible, just tastes a bit off, that's all. Yeah, I think I said this about another flavored coffee, but I think it does taste kind of watery, so that's a shame. I'm not really picking up on much pecan, if any, so I guess might as well add some cream and sugar to see what it does, so let's do that. Alright, the cream and sugar has been added, so let's try it. My thing is that I can taste that there's supposed to be some sort of flavor in there. I can taste that the coffee's been altered in terms of flavor, but it's like, I don't think I'd be able to tell you, oh yeah, it's pecan. I don't know how common it is to have pecan flavoring in your coffee, because I'm more familiar with like hazelnut and things like that, so I'm not sure. It doesn't taste bad, it really doesn't. Like, my only complaint for the black version of this coffee is that it did taste watery, and it just kind of tasted a little bit off. Like, I can smell that it's meant to taste like something. Like, that's the thing about this coffee, at least. I literally could not tell you what it's supposed to smell or taste like, so I don't know if that's really like living up to its name. Maybe it's just that like it really complements the coffee or something like that. I really couldn't tell you. But as for my personal capabilities, I really can't pick up on pecan specifically. I can just be like, oh, it tastes like something, you know? I mean, I feel like that could be my fault, but at the same time, as the consumer, I feel like I should be able to give my own ranking for this, because I want to give my honest score how I feel, you know? Maybe if you've tried this coffee yourself, maybe you can be like, no, actually, you can very much taste the pecan flavor. It clearly is pecan. I mean, be my guest. Go tell me that in the comments. I'd love to know if someone else has tried this specific flavor of coffee from Green Mountain and is like, I don't know. I disagree. Like, if you're one of those people, comment in the comments below. Let me know, because I'd really be curious to see if there's someone out there who, you know, actually can taste the pecan. But at the end of the day, I will say that it is an enjoyable coffee as long as you add cream and sugar. So with that being said, I'll probably give it like a 6.6, because I feel like on one hand it does taste good, but on the other hand you need to add cream and sugar to make it good, and I can't exactly be confident and say, oh yeah, this is clearly pecan flavored coffee, which I wish I could, but that's just me, so maybe it's my fault, maybe it's theirs. I honestly couldn't tell you. So with that being said, I'm gonna give it, as of right now, a 6.6. Alright, so next up we have hazelnut, which is a pretty promising one, I'd say. It smells like your stereotypical hazelnut coffee, so that's not a bad sign. I'm gonna assume that this is probably not gonna taste amazing black, but you never know, so let's try it. I wouldn't recommend drinking it black, but it's not like terrible or anything, so I'd say that's pretty promising. I know the rest of them were like, they either tasted off or like they tasted super watery. I don't think this is the case for this one, really. It still doesn't taste like a good black coffee, but it still doesn't taste bad, so I'll take that. That's kind of promising, actually. It might taste a little bit watery, but in comparison to everything else, it's not too watery, I'd say. With that being said, might as well try it with cream and sugar. Alright, the cream and sugar hasn't been added, so let's try it. I'm pretty excited, actually, so let's see what's up. Yeah, it just tastes like a really good light roast coffee, so I can't complain about that. I do quite enjoy this one. I do think this is a really good coffee, like for a flavored coffee. It tastes smooth, it tastes natural, in the sense that it's meant to be there, I guess you could say. Pretty flavorful, but it's also not like overly flavorful, which I guess makes sense for these pre-flavored coffees. So I like it, I do. So yeah, with that being the case, I do feel like this is almost like on par with like a gas station hazelnut coffee, which I would say is pretty good. I know it's a gas station and all, but like it still tastes like something that was like freshly brewed and whatnot, so that's pretty nice. Since the black coffee was the least offensive out of all these flavored coffees so far, I'm probably gonna give this an 8.1 because it's not blowing my mind, but it's really good for a flavored coffee, so that makes it the highest ranked flavored coffee so far. But we have one final flavored coffee to see if it can come out on top, so let's see. Alright, now we have a very similar flavor, that being a roasted hazelnut. So I don't know how different this is gonna taste because it's quite literally the same thing, except that this one is a hazelnut that's been roasted. So I don't really know how this is gonna taste much different other than a more nutty flavor, I guess. No clue, but I guess we can find out, so let's try black. I feel like this one, unlike the hazelnut, doesn't taste watery, but rather instead it tastes kind of bitter, which probably explains why it's roasted. I don't really care for this black coffee. I'm gonna assume that the cream and sugar, as always, are gonna do some heavy lifting, so I guess we can see if that'll help. Alright, the cream and sugar has been added, so let's try it. I am a bit excited because it still is hazelnut, and hazelnut is good in coffee as we established with the previous coffee, so let's see if this tastes any different. I'm not really tasting much of a difference. If anything, I think it might taste a little bit milder. I do get a little bit of that like bitter taste in like the back of your taste buds or whatever you want to say. Isn't terrible in this context now with cream and sugar because it's not the main focus, but it's not desirable, I'd say, at the end of the day. It's not that it's mellower, or it's more or less that it's like a fuller taste, but it's like more evenly distributed throughout the entire drink, I feel like. Therefore, it kind of makes it feel less sharp in terms of how strong the flavor is, which I don't know why or how that's the case, but I might like this more even if it doesn't exactly taste like a roasted hazelnut. So I don't think I can give this as many points as hazelnut because of the initial coffee taste, but it's still really close and really good. So I'm only gonna dock it 1/10 of a point, which makes it to around 8.0. So that's its final score. Alright, so now we are on to our third and final category, which I'm calling the specialty flavors. So this is exciting because I've never had any of these, and I didn't know any of these even existed. So there's only 5 in this category, so it's gonna go by pretty quickly. Let's see if we can have any top tier winners or anything, we'll see. So I'm starting off with what I'm considering the most unusual flavor out of these 5, that being the island coconut. So off the bat, I can definitely tell you it smells like coconut in a way. It smells like if I just toasted like unsweetened coconut, which is not a bad thing. So it's interesting. I don't know how this is gonna taste. Like the previous flavored coffees, I don't know if these specialties are gonna rely on cream and sugar. I have a suspicion that they probably will, but I don't want to assume. So with that being said, I'm excited to try, so let's do that. So yeah, I'm not really getting much coconut. It doesn't taste as offensive black as the other flavored coffees did. There might be like a slight wave of like hint of coconut when I am drinking it, but I don't get a lot of coconut, but it just feels like it's an aurora that's kind of like bouncing around in my mouth per se. I know that's weird to say, but like it's not like the forefront of the coffee flavor, which I would kind of hope to be the case. Who knows? I mean, maybe it's gonna be like accentuated with the cream and sugar. So with that being said, let's try it. So I've added the cream and sugar, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of hopeful for this because knowing how coconut works, it definitely pairs with sugar. And I think it's pretty common to have it with milk because, well, I guess like coconut milk is a thing. So I feel like this is pretty promising. So with that being said, let's see how it tastes. I think the best way I can describe it is that it tastes like how it smells when you apply like coconut oil to something. Like it doesn't taste strongly of coconut, but your mouth is left with a taste that's like, ooh, it's kind of coconutty. I don't mind that. It's in a similar boat to the blueberry flavor that we had a while ago, to the point where it's like, I don't know if I really would choose coconut of all flavors to put in my coffee, but yet again, it works. I feel like this is arguably better than the blueberry, of course, just to clarify. It's just an interesting choice, I will say that. Like, I do really enjoy this coffee, but I don't know if it's like a coffee that I regularly drink, so that's kind of the predicament I'm in at this point, but it definitely deserves a fairly good score, I will say. So with that being said, I do feel like as an overall assessment, the black coffee was mid. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. You could kind of taste the coconut there, but when you added the cream and sugar, it really brought everything together. You could taste the coconut a little bit more, and it just overall made the coffee more enjoyable. So yeah, with that being said, I'm probably gonna give this like a 7.2 because it's not mind-blowingly amazing, but like, it's honestly a nice coffee. It's just not one that I can see myself drinking a lot. So I feel like 7.2, that range is a pretty good scale for that. So that's what I'm giving it. Alright, so this next coffee I kind of have high hopes for because I think it could be really good, but you never know with these flavored coffees, as I've shown throughout this video. But our next flavor isn't super common, I'd say, but interesting, sounds like it could work. That being cinnamon sugar cookie. When brewing it, it smells super buttery and almost caramelly, I guess. Now that it's changed, I guess you could say. I do smell the cinnamon now. Anyways, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. As always, I'm gonna try it black and then go from there. Probably not gonna expect too much out of the black coffee, but you never know, so let's try it. Yeah, so I don't really taste anything in the coffee other than cinnamon, actually. The cinnamon does come through, which is a nice surprise. The coffee itself does taste tolerable. There's nothing offensive about it. It's not bitter, it's not watery, so that's a really good sign. It tastes like cinnamon sugar, so of course it doesn't taste sweet, but it tastes like what cinnamon sugar could taste like in coffee, I guess. But anyways, let's add some cream and sugar. I feel like this could really be good. Alright, I've added the cream and sugar, and I'm pretty excited, so let's try it. It mostly tastes like cinnamon sugar, I guess, especially now that I actually added sugar to it. It kind of gives snickerdoodle vibes because that's kind of what snickerdoodles are. They're like cinnamon sugar cookies, so I mean, makes sense. This feels like a more festive drink for the holiday season. But I feel like now that I added cream and sugar, it now smells more like caramel. It smells way better than it tastes, I will say that though. It smells amazing, but it tastes average, I'd say. That's the thing about some of these flavored coffees, is that they smell so good, but when you drink them, it's like, oh, this is okay. I mean, I like this coffee, don't get me wrong, but like, it doesn't taste nearly as good as it smells, which is a shame, but I get that. For coffee, I know a lot of chefs like Gordon Ramsay and all of them say like, viewing the plate is the most important thing because that's how you base your judgment on it. So since coffee is a liquid, I feel like more or less the scent of the coffee is the same idea as looking at a plate before eating it, you know? So I feel like smelling the coffee really sets your expectations for a coffee. So I feel like for these flavored coffees, a lot of these are under-delivering on what the smell tells you. I don't know if that's really Green Mountain's fault, because I don't think they'd have people in like the factory being like, alright, let's make these coffees smell really good so people really want to drink them. Because you're only gonna smell them once you brew them. It's not like people can smell the coffee unless you get like those bags of Green Mountain coffee. That's probably different. All that to be said, it smells great. It also tastes good, but not as good as it smells. I do like the coffee. I feel like this is the same idea as coconut, where I don't think I really pick this flavor of coffee. As a coffee society, why'd I say that? But yeah, as a coffee society, I feel like we all gravitate towards the more common flavors like pecans, walnut, those nutty flavors, French vanilla, sometimes even caramel, believe it or not, I guess. So yeah, we don't really think, ooh, I want a cinnamon sugar flavored coffee, especially if it's hot coffee, because I feel like I also said this at one point that like all these extravagant crazy flavors are more or less for like those frozen coffees and like iced coffees. Because so for the next minute or so I kind of just talked about like sugar pumps and like stupid things, so I'll spare you the snooze fest and let's just go to the next part. I don't know why I'm going on so many tangents for this coffee, but here we are. Oh my gosh. So what I'm thinking is that this coffee is definitely better than the Island Coconut because, like I said, the base black coffee didn't taste offensive, so that's like a big win in my books. And then the coffee also tasted good with cream and sugar, as to be expected. So I feel like that's some pretty big points. But again, I don't feel like I'm gonna drink this like anytime soon again. I know I shouldn't use that as too much of a weight, but like this is about one, if I enjoy the coffee, and two, if I can see myself drinking it again. Maybe I'm twisting my own words, I don't know. But that's kind of how I feel at this point because we've gone into the flavors and stuff, and there's like crazily unique flavors like this and blueberry and coconut. Like for one, they'd probably be harder to find, and two, I don't really care to have random flavors. I don't want to give it as high as like hazelnut or any of those. I'm gonna give cinnamon sugar cookie a 7.6. There we go. Now this next coffee I'm pretty excited for and quite curious about because it's one of the big staples of coffee, that being a pumpkin spice flavor. So the thing about this though is that I am kind of scared for the black coffee because a lot of the time, especially in Starbucks that is, it's a pumpkin spice latte, which for those of you who don't know, very creamy, very milky coffee. There's probably a certain technique that I can't explain because I don't make coffee like that, but it's a specific type of coffee. This is just brewed black coffee. It probably will rely on cream and sugar, so I don't have high hopes for the black coffee. I'm gonna be setting the bar kind of high for the cream and sugar version, so I really hope this is good. And with that being said, let's get the probably not good part out of the way and drink the black coffee. I don't really get a lot of the spices. The coffee is mildly bitter. It kind of has that bitter effect, so that's not preferable. It almost tastes like I'm drinking like liquefied tomato paste. I guess it reminds me of bitter chili, like cocoa powder and like tomato paste if you mix them together. I feel like that's kind of the vibe of it almost. I know that sounds gross, but that's kind of how I feel like it's tasting. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. So with that being said, let us try it with cream and sugar and hope that it's like shockingly good, so we'll see. Alright, so I've added the cream and sugar. I really want this to be good because I love pumpkin spice myself, so I know what it should taste like or how society wants us to think pumpkin spice tastes like. I'm worried that I'm not gonna like this because I really want to give this a fighting chance, but I'm gonna be fair, so yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I really don't want to be let down because I love Green Mountain, I love pumpkin spice, so I'm hoping this is good, so let's try it. It's pretty good. The flavor of the pumpkin spice is a little weak for my taste, but overall it does taste pretty accurate. It does taste like pumpkin spice now that I added cream and sugar, obviously. It's not bad. I don't know what to say because the black coffee was bad and bitter and all that. Like I said, I do know what like pumpkin spice should taste like technically, so that's genuinely pretty accurate, which I really appreciate. I'm gonna have to think about a score because this is not easy. So after some thought, I do think that like out of all these flavored coffees, this is probably one of my favorites. Even though it's not good black, it does taste a lot like pumpkin spice, which that's kind of what I was worried about because like you never know with K-Cups because there's so many. You don't know what brands are good, what types of coffee from the brand is good. So I think I'm gonna make this the highest rated flavored coffee so far. It's definitely not gonna be in like the top 5, so I'm gonna have to get this an 8.3, which actually beats out the previous highest standing flavored coffee. The previous flavored coffee that was number 1 was hazelnut with 8.1, so that dethrones it with 0.2 points. So yeah, we have a new flavored coffee winner, but we have 2 more coffees left to see if they can overtake the crown. So let's move on. So the second to last coffee that we have is maple pecan, and I'm kind of excited for this. So on the nose, there's a bit of a peppery smell, which I'm not too fond of. It was stronger a bit earlier, but like you can still kind of smell pepper. I wouldn't prefer pepper in my coffee. I don't know about you, but that's not really something I'm into. Yeah, I'm hoping it's not bad. Hopefully that's just like how it was brewed or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm hoping this is good because maple pecan does sound really good. But yeah, other than the pepper thingy, it does smell like a good coffee. So as per usual, I'm gonna try it black, then add cream and sugar, which will probably make it better. So let's do this. You can taste it's like a peppery aroma, if that's not preferable. If you've ever smelled like one of those like grandmas who have that like pepper perfume, it tastes like how that smells almost. That is probably the worst tasting black coffee I've had in this video. Why does it taste like pepper? I don't get it. I don't know why it tastes like that. I really hope it's my fault. Well, of course I hope it's not my fault or their fault, because I really hope this is just some like oopsie daisy on my end and I got a bad K-cup, but that wasn't good. Like that's like the main thing you can taste is the pepper, and then if you ignore that you can kind of taste the maple pecan, but I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully the cream and sugar can fix this. I don't want to take another sip of the black coffee. That was not good. That was the first coffee that I genuinely thought was not good. So I'm gonna add cream and sugar and hope it fixes it. So let's do that. All right, I've added the cream and sugar. I hope this makes it better. I really hope so. I really hope so. I really want to like this, but that pepper thing. I don't know. I literally don't know what's going on. Okay, let's try it. It's still there. It might be a little bit more tame, but it's still definitely there. It's hard to ignore that. That's the thing. I would like to try to ignore the fact that it's there, but it's too prominent. Like if it was in the background and like not very noticeable, then I'd be able to look past it, but like it tastes strong enough to the point where I can't ignore it. No, oh no, I don't know why it's there. It's maple pecan. Do pecans taste like pepper? Not the last time I had a pecan, it didn't taste like pepper. Like don't get me wrong, I can taste that the maple pecan does taste good, but the fact that there's that overlying pepper thing is, I can't give it a good score because of that. It just, since I only have that one K-cup of maple pecan, it only makes sense for me to assume that all of the maple pecan coffees taste like that, and no, that's not good. That's really not that good. So I don't know what to give this, because on one hand it does taste like maple pecan, it does taste good, but like the pepperiness it completely throws it off and I can't enjoy it. Like all of these coffees, I really want to like these coffees, but this is probably gonna take the last place spot because it's the only one that genuinely doesn't taste that good. It's the one that I really cannot, it's hard for me to drink and enjoy it. So I'm probably just gonna give it an even 5 because like I can taste that it's meant to be good, but that pepperiness is just like, no, I can't enjoy it. So I'm just gonna give it an even 5. The pepper, I just wish it wasn't there. I would genuinely give this a pretty high score if the pepper wasn't there, but it's just throwing everything off, so I have to just give it a 5. But with that being said, let's move on to our final coffee and hope that it doesn't taste like pepper. Alright, let's go to that. And for our final coffee, I'll be trying dark chocolate hazelnut. Again, I have pretty high hopes for this because 1, chocolate and coffee go together very well, and same thing for like hazelnut and other nuts. They go really well with coffee, so I'm hoping this isn't another maple pecan situation. When I did brew this, I don't smell any pepper, so that's a good sign. It smells very chocolatey. It smells like a fake chocolate, like an artificial thingy. I mean, that kind of makes sense for a K-cup, I guess, for coffee in general too. It smells like some of that like chocolate syrup stuff you'd put into like one of those coffees, so I'm not super surprised, but with that being said, let's try it. I'm hoping it's okay. So, it doesn't taste bitter or watery or peppery, that is. I can very slightly taste an edge of chocolate, but not much at all. So it's hard to say that it tastes like dark chocolate or hazelnut at this point, but again, you know the drill. Cream and sugar will probably emphasize the flavors. For these flavored coffees, having a neutral taste that isn't bitter or watery is a thumbs up for me as we've seen previously. So my high hopes are still there. So hopefully it can shine through when I add cream and sugar. But as it stands now, this is your average coffee that's not bitter or watery. So that's a thumbs up for me. Alright, I've added the cream and sugar and it's time to try. Hopefully it's pretty good. We'll see. It's hard to say if it's flavored like Nutella. Let's just say Nutella because that's clearly what they're trying to imitate with dark chocolate and hazelnut. It's hard to tell if I'm tasting the creamer or if I'm actually like tasting the creamer like make the coffee pop with that like smooth, milky chocolate hazelnut mixture. But it definitely tastes unique, I can say that. So yeah, I don't know if it really is screaming dark chocolate and hazelnut at me, but it does make me kind of taste something creamy and smooth. After drinking it again, I do get a slight mocha vibe, and then the aftertaste is a little bit nutty, so I feel like there is some essence there, but it's hard to pinpoint it at the end of the day because nothing about it, I guess, dark chocolate and coffee is kind of like a mocha plus some nut flavoring. I don't feel like it's really mocha standards, which I feel like I can kind of base this off of. It's not as chocolatey as I would expect from like a mocha. I mean, sure, it's not a mocha, but like it's almost a mocha with dark chocolate and coffee. So if that makes sense, I feel like that's kind of fair to think of it that way. So with that being said, I'm not super crazy about the chocolate flavor because it tastes like your average like chocolate syrup thing you put in coffee. It tastes super fake and not real, which I don't prefer. I know that's kind of harsh, but like it's just something that like I'm always like there like I guess I'll try it this time, and I'm almost always like it's fine. I guess it tastes like chocolate. So I don't know, that's just a me thing. You can definitely get that chocolate essence. It's not strong, it's not in your face. I'm gonna have to think of a score. So looking at all those scores I currently tabulated for all the previous flavors, which kind of helps me to think through it a little bit more, I think I'm gonna give this a 7.1, which puts it a 1/10 of a point above French vanilla. I will say, kind of spoilers for the ending, a lot of these in the 7 range literally there's a 1 point differential. So with adding this score, it's gonna be 7.0, 7.1, 0.2, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So it's a little bit of a close one, but that's enough spoilers for you. We'll go over that in the next clip or whatever. But yeah, I just feel like it works. I'm just not crazy about it, so I'll give it some points for being fairly accurate. I just wish there was a bit more of a nutty flavor. That's really it. So with that being said, I'm gonna give it a 7.1. And with that, that marks me finishing every coffee by Green Mountain, or just about, I guess. But yeah, if you guys would want me to try to get the other coffees that I didn't try in this video, I might make a follow-up to this video and try the rest, so we'll see. Depends on if you guys would want it or not. I hope you all enjoyed this video. It took me like over a month to record all this, and trust me, it took me way longer to edit because I'm busy with college and I'm not gonna drink like 20 coffees in a day. But yeah, for the moment you've all probably been waiting for, I'm gonna be reading out the final scores going from worst rated to best rated, so let's do that. In last place we have Maple Pecan with 5.0, Caramel Vanilla Cream with 5.3, Wild Mountain Blueberry with 6.1, Brown Sugar Crumble with 6.8, French Vanilla with 7.0, Dark Chocolate Hazelnut with 7.1, Island Coconut with 7.2, Dark Magic with 7.4, Black Granite with 7.5, Cinnamon Sugar Cookie with 7.6, Double Diamond with 7.7, Southern Pecan with 7.8, Breakfast Blend with 7.9, Roasted Hazelnut with 8.0, Hazelnut with 8.1, Pumpkin Spice with 8.3, Sumatra Reserve with 8.4, Lake and Lodge with 8.5, Vermont Country Blend with 8.7, Nantucket with 8.8, Puerto Rico Paraiso with 9.0, meaning that the number 1 spot is Colombian Select with a 9.4. So I'm pretty happy with these final rankings. I feel like it does depict how I feel overall with all these coffees. I think I really do still love those fair trade coffees. They just taste so different but so good. I am so glad to have shared this experience with you all. And yeah, again, if you want me to try to get some of the coffees I wasn't able to get my hands on today, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and all that YouTube jazz stuff. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. See ya.